Hi everyone, it's Jeje here and welcome to Be Colorful. Today I'm gonna continue to create cards with the panels we created in the last video using the stencil technique and the chalk mousse included in the Tonic Craft Kit 46. As already said in the last video, of which I leave you the link down below in the description box and at the end of this video, to create these panels you can use any mousse or paste and any stencil you have at home. We have seen how to create the shadow effect with different mediums, and now let's keep turning these panels into cards. The first card I'm gonna create today will be a slimline card, and I'm gonna use this panel. So I prepare the card base on ivory cardstock in standard size, that's 8.5 by 3.5 inches. Then I slightly cut out the panel on the side and add some finishing borders. I was initially opting for some lilac cardstock for the borders, but then I decided to use the glitter included in the kit. To apply them, I'm using very strong double-sided tape adhesive, 5 or 6 millimeters thick, if I'm not mistaken. As a sentiment, I decided to use one of the stamps from Tonic Craft Kit number 43, Special Wishes, which I'm going to stamp with the Lilac ink pad included in the kit 46. I'm using the stamp platform to make sure I get a nice and crisp impression. In fact, the stamp platform allows me to stamp multiple times in the same position. To embellish the card, I'm going to die cut small butterflies using the Tonic Craft Kit 42 die on the gold embossed paper. Here and there, I add a few drops of Nuvo Crystal Drop Pale Gold included in the kit. And finally, I glue the panel onto the card base. After I let the crystal drop dry, otherwise I would have made a mess. For the next card, I'm gonna use the panel created using the letter and number stencil, Chalk Mousse, and Strawberry Ice Sparkle Spray by Nuvo. This time I want to offer you a very essential and modern design. So first of all, I cut out the panel, leaving just a white border around the rectangle formed by the letters and numbers. Then I cut out the rectangle in half. I prepared the card base on white cardstock in standard size, that's 4¼ by 5½ inches. Next, I add finishing edges on the diagonal sides of the two panels. I decided to use grey cardstock, which goes perfectly with the pinks or lilac, while also creating a nice contrast with the white of the card. And let's move on to the sentiment. I use On Your Birthday of this set because I just want a simple and thin sentiment which follows the diagonal of the panel. I stamped using VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I do the heat embossing technique with the clear embossing powder. I glue the two panels on the card base and I finish the card by creating drops of Nuvo Vintage Drop Lilac from the kit 41, I think. I create drops aligned diagonally in groups of 3. Also for this card, I propose you another essential and modern design with geometric shapes, circles in particular. Then on the panel with the stencil, I'm going to die cut 3 circles. I choose the dies based on the space I have available in the panel. Again, I make a card in American Standard A2 size. Still with the same circle dies, I create 3 more circles on the special lilac embossed paper from the kit. Before stick everything down, I'm going to add some details to the background by spraying drops of purple distress oxide spray. You can also use watercolors or acrylic paints to create these drops, diluting the color with a little water. I decide how to arrange the element and I proceed to glue everything on the card base. I'm going to stamp the sentiment of the stamp set I used for the previous card. And I finish the card by creating drops with a lilac Nuvo gel drop, which once dry will be transparent. Furthermore, it will react with the Distress Oxide spray, just because Distress Oxide are not permanent and react if you apply wet mediums on top of them. With the polka dot panel, I'll show you how to create 2 cards with only one panel. I'll always use card base in standard size that's 4¼ by 5½ inches, so I cut out the panel to make a 4½ wide rectangle. Then I'm going to divide the panel in 2 parts, cutting it diagonally and creating a smaller panel and a larger one. I prepare the 2 card bases on white cardstock and I start making the first card with the largest polka dot panel. On a strip of lilac pearlescent paper from the kit, I'm going to die cut the sentiment with love using one of the dies always included in the kit. With the same die, I'm going to die cut on grey cardstock And now I glue the lilac pearlescent sentiment on top of the grey one, slightly offset, thus creating a shadow effect that will highlight the writing. I'm gonna glue the decorative border with a sentiment into the polka dot panel. I cut out the excesses and I glue everything on the card base, adding pieces of leftover paper to create dimension. I decorate the card by adding a strip of iridescent paper from the kit. And with the Nuvo Gel Drop Lilac, I am going to create drops on top of some Chalk Mousse polka dots, making them three-dimensional and shiny. Let's move on to the smaller panel, which I have already glued on the card base. Next, I'm gonna create a panel on white cardstock 4¼ inches wide. No matter how long it is, the important thing is that it covers most of the polka dot panel. With this border die, I'm going to create a decorative border on the underside of the white panel. Still on the white panel, I'm going to create a background with this text stamp. I dab the stamp with clear ink and stamp by carefully placing the panel over the stamp. Then I'm going to heat embossing it with white embossing powder. In this way I'm gonna get a very subtle background that doesn't compete with the polka dot panel, but makes it stand out. Now let's move on to the decorative element and sentiment. I'm going to cut out 3 very thin strips of lilac pearlescent paper, which I'm gonna glue diagonally on the central part of the white panel. On a piece of grey cardstock, I'm going to stamp one of the stamps included in the kit using the clear Versamark ink and embossing with the lilac embossing powder, always included in the kit. I die cut the sentiment with a circle die and I glue it in the center of the 3 pearlescent lilac strips. Now I glue the panel on the card base using some dimensional adhesive tape or foam tape. And I finish the card by creating drops of lilac crystal drop around the circle. above some polka dot and somewhere in the sentiment. And that's all for today. In these two videos we have created a lot of panels using a texture paste, our stencils, and the shadow technique with different mediums. And these panels have given life to a lot of cards with a very simple design, some a little classic and elegant, others very graphic and modern. Did you like this technique? Have you tried it? Which design did you like the most? Let me know in the comments. I remind you to subscribe to my channel if you like and leave a thumbs up if you liked the video. Now I thank you and see you next time for the next video. Bye bye and be colorful!